So guys, I actually have some bad news. It turns out I've contracted a strain of Ebola, reading numerous comments from our community saying that Dyspo is the first Dragon Ball character to hit the speed of light. My doctor has told me that I have to find out the cure for it myself. So with me today, Chuck the Cyber. We're going to be talking about the first characters that have actually hit faster than light. We're going to be going over numerous feats in Dragon Ball that would prove these characters are faster than light, and etc., to kind of cleanse the community of this disgusting disease. If you unironically believe Dyspo's the first faster than light character, I suggest you be open-minded and you actually try to sift through this entire video before slapping a dislike, because not to be too judgmental, but if you believe Dyspo's the first one that's faster than light, you're more than likely to believe the first thing that you hear, which is probably that Dyspo is the first faster than light character, and you'd probably be inclined to attack us immediately for disagreeing.
Okay, so apparently people are taking this statement seriously that Topo said, okay, he surpassed the speed of light and sound through repeated battles, right? So it's like past tense, meaning that he had already surpassed that speed way before the Tournament of Power. Not to mention, after that, Dyspo said he can increase speed thousands of times, meaning that even if you wanted to heavily downplay, he'd still be thousands of times faster in light.
You could argue that when he increases his speed like 1,000 times, that's what makes him faster than light. However, the entire statement is just so wonky because they say through repeated battles, he surpassed the speed of sound. When he joined the Pride Troopers, was he not even as fast as a bullet? Or what? Do they accept people
He's not even Kid Goku
level in the Pride Troopers? These statements are very wonky because you see them all over the place. And like Chuck said, it's past tense. It's not really something that can be used. Utilize death of the author in this scenario, especially because these are multiple writers. There's not any confirmation that Toriyama wrote this directly. But these are the same authors that had a character get punched by Goku, and Goku hurt his hand punching a fighter who everyone quotes
harder than steel.
His body is harder than steel. When the entire arena is the hardest metal in the multiverse, him having a body harder than steel is somehow impressive. It's more like these writers don't comprehend what's actually impressive. They just kind of like throwing out terms that seem strong, kind of like a Superman thing with like multiple consistencies of power because the writers all agree on different things.
Okay, so say you wanted to, downplay and say Dragon Ball Super has no speed feats, to scale Goku from. Actually, in very early Dragon Ball Super, like episode 2 or 3, I believe, was like when Beerus is first introduced, we actually see that Whis goes and fetch food for him. He actually goes outside of their temple to another solar system, if not, another galaxy, which I'll get into later on. But essentially, Whis goes get food for him within a time frame of 3 minutes. And Beerus was getting tired of waiting, so he actually traveled to where Whis was by himself in less than 2 minutes, like about 1.5 minutes, if not less than that. And the thing is that his temple is actually located inside a nebula, and a nebula is this gas cloud, and these nebulas can range in diameter from a few light years to several dozens, if not much more. So let's go ahead and downplay, right? Let's go ahead and say that the nebula that Beerus was in is only 1 light year across, right? So technically, if we say that the temple is in the middle of the nebula, he'll only be crossing half of it, right? So 0.5 light years. But he has to travel outside of it, right? The whole light year, and to reach a distant planet, he would be reaching like over 350,000 times faster than the speed of light. This is not counting the distance that he needs to travel outside of the nebula to the planet, which is in another solar system, if not another galaxy, because when Whis and Beerus return to, the temple, we don't even see the nebula or, their home anywhere in that shot. It's not even anywhere near there, so they're in another star system. The thing is, like some nebulas, like the Orion Nebula, is actually stated to have a diameter of over 24 light years across, if not much more, 30 to 40. And these are estimates because nebulas are known to expand. Let's say that you wanted to downplay as well, say that nebula is only 6 light years across, or 1/4 the diameter of the M42 Nebula, the Orion Nebula. Then if Beerus is traveling just, to the other planet, he'd be over 2.1 million times the speed of light if he is traveling that distance in 1.5 minutes. Now, say the nebula is 24 light years across, right? So he'd be crossing 12 light years, and of course, the distance from there to the planet, he'll be over 8.4 million times the speed of light. Okay? Casually. So I already know people might be saying, but it's Beerus when he's traveling, like, whatever. Beerus is more than likely going to be using more energy, more speed when he's fighting someone he's been waiting decades to fight, being Goku, than to fly across, the galaxy, to get food. Like, who do you think he's going to be using more power against? Think about that rationally. So Beerus more than likely is using more energy against Goku, so and then Goku's like become much stronger than that, stacking Super Saiyan Blue, Kaioken, all those years of training. And the Dyspo that is fighting, God Goku is much, much stronger than the God Goku that fought Beerus. So You equate that, and you'd easily have millions to billions of times faster than light, just at that point, if not much more. And that is an actual feat. It is canon, and you cannot refute it. Hell, what if you wanted to heavily downplay even more and say it took him 1 year to travel 1 light year? That'd still be like 1/10 the speed of light.
Yeah, and this is mainly just touching up on Ultra Instinct Goku and Kefla, and all those god tiers are just like roughly only the speed of light, which is completely illogical using Dyspo anyway. Super Saiyan God Goku is above Dyspo, at least in terms of power and at least relative in terms of speed. Now, Dyspo is way beyond the speed of light. I mean, he was the speed of light way back in his early days. In his early days, he was also the speed of sound at one point. So it's completely inconsistent to use that. Super Saiyan Blue is a 5 times multiplier, at least in the manga, possibly 50 times in the anime. If you use his fight versus Kefla, he could then multiply his speed by 20 times with Kaioken. Ultra Instinct is twice as powerful as the Spirit Bomb, which is stronger than a Kaioken times 20, plus another force that's already above Kaioken times 20. You can apply this over 80 times Super Saiyan Blue. Even using Ultra Instinct in its lowest form with Dyspo, he would be over 100 times the speed of light easily. So I think saying that these characters are only the speed of light using Dyspo is completely illogical, even if you do stoop to the level to downplay them that absurdly. And of course, like Chuck said, there's numerous feats for Beerus where he can casually be that fast. I mean, you have Goku versus Beerus shaking the universe instantaneously in the manga. Their forces and flashes are shaking the universe instantaneously in the anime as well. Although their shock waves, when they punch each other, take time to travel for whatever reason, although that would still be traveling billions of light years almost instantaneously. Vados and Champa also have a feat where they're in the living universe, and they jump out of the macrocosm bubble into the Kaioshin realm, which would require quadrillions of times the speed of light to accomplish in like an instant, like they did in the manga as well. And these are just feats. And we know that Goku scales to these characters. We know that Ultra Instinct Goku, judging off the Spirit Bomb, because the Spirit Bomb scared Vermod. And Vermod thought that the Spirit Bomb might be able to take out Jiren. And Jiren is stronger than Vermod. So Vermod is instantly conceding the Spirit Bomb is probably stronger than I am. So it's very logical to assume Ultra Instinct Goku, who's stronger than the Spirit Bomb, is more than likely stronger than Vermod, until something else contradicts it. But that's nature of refutation. So it's very easy to argue that these characters could easily be quadrillions of times the speed of light off of the jumping feat they accomplished in the manga. And, you know, like Chuck said, traveling between the quadrants. And I also want to argue that Dragon Ball Super characters are nowhere near the first characters that have ever accomplished anything remotely towards the speed of light. Characters in original Dragon Ball have done the same thing. Now, I've been kind of talking for a little bit, so I'm going to let Chuck take it from here. But why don't you explain some things in maybe Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z that accomplished similar feats?
Okay, so one of the first feats that we see that is easily relativistic, if not faster than light, is when Master Roshi busts the moon. He does it like in a really short time frame. Even if you wanted to say it's an outlier, we know that Goku was confirmed in Dragon Ball as well to be being able to destroy Moon, and these guys are much faster than Roshi was during that tournament, so they're clearly like way stronger than he is and much faster. In Dragon Ball Z, in like the very early arcs, when Piccolo, you know, after he defeats Raditz with Goku, he destroys the moon like near instantly, if not in a couple seconds, and that would still be faster than light, you know, relativistic speeds. We even have one really great feat from the Namek Saga, which is actually like proven in the one of the back panels of the manga, you know, when Goku fights against Frieza, and it says that Goku was on the other side of the planet, and light revolves around the Earth over 7 times in a second. And if Goku crossed like half the planet, he would be like 1/14 the speed of light if he crossed it like in a second. So he would be, you know, relativistic speeds. And then you multiply that by 50 by a Super Saiyan multiplier, and he would be like over 3.6 times the speed of light just in the Namek Saga. This is an extreme downplaying, just using an actual feat and using the multipliers. It's also ignoring the fact that Genkai himself had trouble keeping up with Goku and Frieza fighting, yet he had no issues following the ship of Goku, which, you know, traveled across several light years, if not over a galaxy, because of course this ship was traveling from Earth to Namek, which in the DBZ universe map that Akira Toriyama himself drew, it shows the Namek's like on the other side of the universe. So it's easily like millions, if not billions of times faster than light, if not much more. Genkai can keep up with it, right? As a highball, you could even use that. There's also another feat in Filler where Goku actually reacts to all these meteors hurling at him, you know, from the ship, and he actually uses a Kamehameha to blast himself off a star. So even if you wanted to use like very early feats from Dragon Ball Z, they're already like faster than light at this point. And I mean, one really good example as well is Kid Buu, which I'll let Seth take over for that because he loves Kid Buu.
Well, before I get into that, I just wanted to touch up on a few things. Goku crossing Namek. Some people have argued to me that Goku didn't actually travel across Namek, which I could see, although, you know, the manga does, at least the manga back and the lore is that he did cross Namek, although you might be able to argue he did not using the actual scaling of the panels. But regardless, Goku in that fight still has faster than light feats. I mean, he scales to Raditz, who is multiple times stronger and faster than weighted Piccolo, who blew up the moon in like 4 seconds. The light travels to the moon in 1.2 seconds, and Raditz is easily 4 times stronger and faster than Piccolo. Characters like Nappa and Vegeta casually crapping on that by numerous times themselves. Uzaru Vegeta is bare minimum 10 times stronger, so at least bare minimum Uzaru Vegeta would be faster than light off that scaling, no matter what you really say. Even in the actual fight with Frieza, Goku is able to haymaker and launch attacks into space that hit other planets almost instantaneously, which kind of backs up the whole faster than light scaling regardless, even if you don't take the whole Namek thing into question. Most fillers in Dragon Ball are actually canon. Filler is referenced in Dragon Ball Super, at least in the anime, that's canon. And it makes sense because Toei made these fillers and Toei is directing the anime, so it only makes sense that they would incorporate their works. Like, for example, Gregory is in there, and they even mentioned Tarbell, who's not necessarily in the actual manga. So there are feats like that. We do know that anime-only things like Base Vegito and Buu, about to destroy the universe, are also in the Daizenshu, which is read and approved by Toriyama, and even Dragon Ball Kai uses these things as well. As Chuck said, Majin Buu is a very big feat here. It's actually because it's directly shown on the screen what he actually does. Now, this isn't Kid Buu, this is actually Fat Buu. So the Supreme Kai is talking to Goku and Vegeta. He's talking about Buu, and this is in Dragon Ball Kai as well. Kai is canon, completely canon. I mean, you might be able to argue maybe the original Dragon Ball Z anime was retconned by Kai, and I would agree with that, but Kai is absolutely canon. It's shown in, you know, Dragon Ball Super in its entirety almost. So it's canon and it's shown in this scene. Now, when he's referencing Fat Buu, in the background, it shows Fat Buu obliterating galaxies, not Kid Buu, but Fat Buu slaughtering galaxies. That's while he's being influenced by Babidi. So that means that Babidi literally sicked Buu on galaxies to destroy them, and galaxies are hundreds of thousands of light years long. And we do know that the Kais were saying that he did this in several hundreds of years. In the original script, or the Japanese text on the manga, many people take this out of context. Oh, Buu destroyed several hundred planets in a few years. It actually says several hundred planets and stars, or star, which is far more consistent with what the anime showed, because Kid Buu, or actually Fat Buu, is eliminating a galaxy. Even if you said this was like a few thousand years, it would have to be faster than light to eliminate this galaxy. So it's illogical to say that he's not faster than light even using this. So using Ignoratio Elenchi, you need to prove that what you're claiming somehow contradicts the rest of the series. However, the only source of claim you've made, it kind of falls under Occam's razor, because you're making an extraordinary claim. You're saying the entire series can't be faster than light off of a statement with Dyspo. And the more extraordinary your claim, the more evidence you need. So you can't simply say that the rest of the series is completely negated because you believe in a character statement that can be interpreted to be the past. I mean, they reference the speed of sound over feats that are directly shown on screen to be faster than the speed of light. What does Dyspo's feat contradict using Ignoratio Elenchi? I mean, does it contradict Beerus moving out of a nebula in thousands to possibly millions of times the speed of light? No. Does it disprove Goku shaking the universe almost instantaneously? No. Does it disprove Jiren and Goku shaking infinity? Not really again. Does it disprove Vados and Champa jumping out of the macrocosm at quadrillions of times the speed of light? Probably not. So you can't really use this statement that can be interpreted that way to disprove the whole series isn't faster than light, and that falls under Occam's razor again. And it's your osis to disprove that with more evidence. You also need to take into account the scaling of the series. I mean, despite feats themselves are great. However, Dragon Ball is also a show about scaling. Obviously, Goku, for the most part, scales off of the villains he fights. That's mainly how it works. If Goku travels the speed of lightning, even as a child, and light is 670 million miles per hour with lightning at 220,000. So literally all you have to do is prove Goku is 3,000 times stronger and faster than he was as a kid. Even if you took Kid Goku and made him go Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20, he would be faster than light. I mean, literally, you could prove Kid Goku with over 3,000 times just the multipliers, let alone Saiyan Saga Goku, who's over 20 times stronger, Namek Saga Goku, then you have Frieza Saga Goku, then you have times 50 for Super Saiyan Goku, Cell Games, Majin Buu, Post Beerus, post Whis training, God forms, Ultra Instinct. It's just, there's no logical way to say that adult Goku is not over 3,000 times stronger than Kid Goku. It's completely impossible. Even the Daizenshu 7, which literally states the comparison between the characters, has the difference between Saiyan Saga Goku and Namek Saga Super Saiyan as over 10,000 times. That's just adult Goku in one arc. And for instance, how can you say Kefla is just now universal, or the gods of destruction are universal, but they're barely the speed of light? Do you know how big a universe is? A universe is over 27 billion light years long. If they were just the speed of light, it would take them quite literally 27 billion years to destroy it, even in one direction, vertically or horizontally. Take your pick. Why would the angels stop the gods of destruction from fighting if it would take them 27 billion years straight to destroy the universe when they've only been in service for like 75 million years? And this is where I go into Ignoradio Lanky, because you need to prove that these characters being the speed of light is contradictory to the plot or anything that's been displayed. But if anything, all we've really seen is that everything in the series contradicts Dyspo's statement of being current and relevant. If anything, it's just referring to Dyspo's past.
To add on to that, if you want to say, oh, like, no, there's no way these guys are universal, like this is hyperbole. I mean, ever since Battle of Gods, we have had universal statements like all these characters, Whis, Vegeta, even the narrator himself. We have Xenos destroying like all these, universes. And I mean, like, it's just ridiculous that after all these jumps in power, Goku, even in his God state, he absorbs that power, he trains with it for several years. And you're telling me he's still not universal? If you want to say, that they aren't, then you'd be doing confirmation bias. You want to believe what you want to believe.
Yeah, it's kind of like argument from ignorance, or maybe like an argument from incredulity, because they don't really understand how it works. They also use these kind of like inflation of conflict fallacies where people don't really agree on the scaling, so it doesn't matter per se, and they can just determine how it works on their own. And it's definitely not how it works in any sense of the word. Like, we've displayed guides, numerous statements of them being able to destroy the universe. There's just no logical way to do it, and I don't think there's really anything else to really go on about.
It's like a meme at this point that people just say we're like talking out of our asses, that we're like making stuff up, right? Like, we're the ones who are writing the story. Like they're really complaining that we're trying to explain it.
They really put a lot of words into our mouth. Like, what they do is like, wow, power scaling is broken. This series is totally illogical and stupid. And then when you try to put any sense of logic behind it, they're like, oh, you're just a Dragon Ball tart. And it's like,
what? You said Goku can't beat anyone. You said Zeno's omnipotent.
Like, what? You think Goku can beat anyone now? And it's like, no, I never stated anything like that. I'm being logical. But yeah, I mean, people at this point, they're just, I'm going to be honest, they're just normies. They like a lot of bias. They probably don't really understand power scaling too well either. They probably, watch King of Lightning.
Okay, speaking of, there's also this other thing that people seem to do. It's like, they're like, oh, he's stronger, he surpasses the concept of time. That doesn't make any fucking sense. It's stupid. It's like you're trying to limit what fiction is by comparing it to what we have in the real world. It's impossible for Goku to be faster in light because nothing's faster in light. Or it's like, it's just ridiculous that people are trying to actually limit a series where people fly. There's a fucking dog who's the president of the world or the king of the world. There's flying cars. They're trying to limit what that kind of series can do, man.
The same logic that because you need to have infinite power in real life using the law of relativity to hit the speed of light, that nothing in fiction can hit the speed of light. Me and Chuck have actually been recently calling it an appeal to reality fallacy, because you're limiting fiction by laws in real life when fiction doesn't follow real life laws like 100% of the time. I mean, what the hell is ki? Is ki like a real life concept? Like, people can actually destroy the universe if they do some push-ups with the shell on their back? Like, I don't some people are like, how can you be above the concept of time? That's like being above a color. But in fiction, time is like a conceivable thing you can control and manipulate. It's like, so it's very clear that stopping and controlling time in fiction is very powerful. In fact, it's one of the strongest hacks in fiction. And it's very clear if you don't think stopping time or being above time is a big deal, once again, you're not a power scaler. Regardless of that. And other than that, guys, I see no reason to bring this up anymore. Anybody that says that Dyspo is the speed of light, and that's the first character that's probably reached it, is clearly ignoring the source materials and probably does not know much about Dragon Ball's feats and scaling. Other than that, be sure to subscribe to Chuck the Cyberfuck. Until next time.